Welcome to This Week in Vexly. Starting off, we will review our trade ideas from last week. First idea from last week was the long on TSM. We liked TSM as a long due to the market maker model and Pluto signaling a buy. Looking deeper, we also mentioned that 95 would act as a floor, and we would be targeting 100 to 105 due to the gamma and Vanna profile. From Monday's open to high of week, TSM was up 4.6%. Next idea we liked last week was a short on PFE. We liked PFE short due to the short signal on the market maker model and Pluto short signal. We also noted that we liked to short around 38 due to the gamma profile. From Monday's open to low of week, PFE was down 3.76%. Now let's get into our Fed and liquidity recap from last week. Starting off, we saw another week where CB swaps increased. Seems like after a long drawdown we have maybe seen a bottom put in. This would provide a great amount of liquidity to the market and could help decide the next move. Next we have overnight repos, which we saw some small buying, nothing like last week, but was still a positive for the week. And lastly we have the Fed balance sheet, which has continued on its drawdown and is the lowest we've seen all year. Next we will review our heat maps from Friday's close. Remember to pause the video to examine the maps and where there might be points of interest to watch going into Monday. Here are the heat maps for ES, NQ, and RTY. Next we will look at our ideas for the week ahead. Starting off, we like Microsoft as a long going into the week. Our market maker model has signaled long, but Pluto is currently neutral. Moving to our gamma profile, we want to note the peak negative gamma at 330. Based on current positioning, 330 should act as floor, and due to the positive gamma price, has a chance to move higher towards 350. Moving down to our Vanna profile, we can see peak negative is at 330 and one positive peak at 350 and the other at 360. This aligns with our thoughts of 330 being the floor and 350 to 360 being our upside target. Moving down to our skew model, we can see P1 skew is negative for the week, meaning majority of traders are in puts. Next we have our weekly seasonality for Microsoft. And finally, here are the VX levels. One thing to note is the selling we saw at 340 last week with volume. That's something to note and watch this week to see how price does when it gets to 340. For our second idea, we like Mara as a long this week. The market maker model is neutral, but has Mara listed as a squeeze candidate. Pluto is also coming off a sell signal from last week, so we could see some downside, but that would create a good buying opportunity. Moving to our gamma profile, we want to note peak negative gamma is at 18, with price being below 18, we can see that act as a possible magnet higher for this week. Next we have our Vanna profile with peak negative at 15 and peak positive set at 18. This means that we will be targeting 18 for our upside target. Moving down, we can look at our skew model and see P1 is deep negative for this week, which means majority of traders are in puts, and if we see a sudden closing of the puts, price can accelerate higher based on option mechanics. Next we have our weekly seasonality for Mara. And finally we have our VX levels. One thing to note is the bid we saw around 16, and we'll be watching for that again this week. That's it for this week. To recap, we saw some improvements to liquidity last week with swap lines and small overnight repo buying. Going into this week, we will watch to see if this trend continues. For our trade ideas, we want to see Microsoft above 330 for a chance to see 350 to 360. We also want to see Mara stay above 16 to try and long for a chance at 18. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more.